Go get him, Dragon Walker! Go!
Dragon Walker, Battle Armor, He-Man, and Skeletor and Merman each sold separately.
Step right this way, He-Man!
Batteries not included.
What's that? Take that, He-Man! May the mightiest power prevail! Yeah!
New Dragon Walker vehicle for use with most Masters of the Universe figures. Action figures each sold separately from Mattel.
And the Masters of the Universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle GRAYSKULL. This is Cringer, my fearless friend. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of GRAYSKULL!" Cringer became the mighty Battle Cat, and I became He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Only 3 others share this secret. Our friends, the Sorceress, Man-at-Arms, and Orko. Together we defend Castle GRAYSKULL from the evil forces of Skeletor.
Hello, this is OptimusSolo, and welcome to the 30th chapter in Tales of Eternia. With me for this journey into the Masters of the Universe franchise is the ever-excited TFG1Mike.
Thanks for noticing me.
Alrighty, Eeyore. Are you ready for more Powers of GRAYSKULL? Ready or not?
Can't we go to the Crystal Castle already?
No, not yet. In this episode of Tales of Eternia, we'll be giving you our thoughts on Episode 87, Fraidy Cat, Episode 88, The Rainbow Warrior, and Episode 89, A Trip to Morainia. So we hope you're ready, because it's time to go back to Eternia.
No, you didn't do anything wrong. It's Cringer. He's just a big Fraidy Cat. Oh, I gotta go now. I'm late for lunch.
All right, we start today with Episode 87, Fraidy Cat, written by Phil Harnage.
Who?
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 Harnage? I don't know. Air date Wednesday, October 10th, 1984. Cringer feels responsible when the evil warriors kidnap Queen Marlena and must overcome his fears to rescue her. Bad guys in this, we have an interesting collection of Clawful, Merman, Cobra Khan, Screech, Skeletor, and Whiplash. And the Masters, we have the main group there. The PSA is He-Man and Orko explaining that being afraid is just as important as being brave. Cringer realizes he was being afraid of being afraid. Now he's just afraid of being brave.
I didn't know Dustin Diamond had a cartoon appearance.
Yeah, Screech is in this one. As far as Orko's fun facts, it is unknown if it was intentional or not, but on this occasion, Skeletor's 4 evil warriors are all reptile-like in appearance. Once again, like Double-Edged Sword, Merman apparently leaves seaweed behind when walking. In the script, Skeletor hears a knock on the door and quips, "Smells like rotten fish. Is that you, Merman?" At which point Merman enters. And Screech's size in this episode is vastly different to the creature's later appearance in 2 different episodes. So, what did you think about the plot of Fraidy Cat, this Cringer-centric episode?
Man, I love Cringer-centric episodes.
As if they happen all the time.
Well, it would make this series a hell of a lot better. You take out every single one-off episode or one-off villain and make them all Cringer episodes, this show would get a much higher rating from me.
Fair enough.
Overall, I liked it. I thought it was interesting. There are a couple of things that I don't like about it. I do think that it is nice that they can, like, you know, we've talked before where a writer will come in and do something completely different for a character that has nothing to do with their characterization previous to that episode that they've written. I do like that. Like I said, when you said the name of the writer, I was like, who? You know, because I've never, unless it's Detilio, unless it's Wise, unless it's, you know, Roby London, unless it's one of the ones that have written like multiple episodes, it's like I don't know who any of these people are half time. But I do like that they did keep pretty much Cringer's whole Fraidy thing in line. It's not that hard to not keep it in line, so I do like that. Overall, the plot was decent. It wasn't anything super emotional.
No, and we've had some focus episodes on different characters, whether it be Tila or Man-at-Arms or, you know, Stratos, etc. It's interesting that they thought to do a focus episode on Cringer, because that could have easily been kind of left behind or forgotten about. So I think the idea is a good one to give us a Cringer-centric episode. I know it's always the easy thing to say is, oh, good idea, but bad execution type thing. I don't know if it's necessarily bad execution or if it's just good idea, but then not as good, like finalizing your idea and forming everything around your idea.
So you're basically saying is they wrote out a first draft, they wrote out a second draft, they wrote out a third draft, they wrote out a final draft, and then they went back to the third draft and threw the final draft out, and we have the, you know, half written.
Well, almost. It's or it's like, you know, the when you're doing the outline, like you come up with the idea and you're like, okay, this is the main thing that we're going to do. These are some of the things we're going to do around it. This is what's going to be important in the episode. But then they never actually went to write all the other stuff. Like they just have the basic notes of what they want to do, but they never actually took the time to really develop everything around that. So it makes for me, it makes for a somewhat of a boring episode, which is weird because Cringer has so much potential and has been used so well in past times. It's not good if you have a Cringer-centric episode that Cringer doesn't have as many good moments as in just a general episode.
Absolutely. Now, I will say that when we get to Snake Mountain, I wrote one of my notes down, and then I realized as I watched the episode that it didn't happen like I thought it was going to happen. So I don't want anyone to chastise me for one of my bad moment notes, because I thought they were going to have somebody do something the entire episode that actually didn't happen.
All right, well,
I was like, wait, what? You're going to...
We'll have to see what that is. What about the PSA and the meaning behind this episode here?
The PSA, it's good. The PSAs here are better than in Mask, so there's that. At least here, they're actually trying to teach you a lesson. At least in this show, every other PSA isn't about fire safety or, you know, drug safety with, you know, taking pills and et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, again, this PSA goes to Cringer's character.
Right.
You know, he needs... You can't just have him stuck as the Fraidy Cat and Battle Cat be the hero all the time. You need to... And they've done this the entire series to this point. They constantly give Cringer himself... Because they... Okay, sure, they're the same cat, but it's two different God, Cringer has multiple personality disorder. It's two different personalities in the same body. And they've developed that very well, and I like that they worked the PSA into that.
Yeah, I don't mind it, and there is probably a lot of kids that can relate to Cringer in different ways. You know, especially when you're young, you're timid about some things, or a lot of people are, or afraid of different putting themselves out there. So I think it's a decent message to try to get across. All right, well, I'm interested to see what your Snake Mountain moment's going to be, so we got to get there, but first we got to get to Castle Grayskull.
Wake up, Adam.
What happened?
Oh, everyone fell asleep.
Where's Queen Marlena?
Cringer went to get her. He never came back.
We better check her room. She's gone. And Cringer, too. This is a job for He-Man. By the power of Grayskull. Now let's take a look outside.
All right, we find ourselves at Castle Grayskull for episode 87, Fraidy Cat. I'll go because it's going to be quick. I like the idea of making a Cringer-centric episode, and I like the combination of bad guys that we have in this episode with Whiplash, Clawful, and Cobra Khan all being in there. Merman seems like an odd fourth horseman, I guess, but I like the combination of that. I like the introduction of this Screech character, although they don't really explain anything about it much besides that he has this Screech character that's going to apparently help him win the day. But I guess it gives a cool little alternate for Zor, if you want to. I don't know if that's... Were the toys the same size?
I think so, yeah. I honestly, I don't remember, but I think Screech is just a repaint of Zor.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's some decent stuff in this episode. It's not all for naught, but I don't have a ton of highlights written down. What about you?
I know we're at Castle Grayskull, but, you mentioned, as soon as you mention the green idiot, I'm like, oh, just put Merman in there. Get Whiplash out of there. I'm so sick of that character already.
Not a big Whiplash fan, huh?
No,
okay.
Not at all. I was so hoping Cringer would have, actually gotten up the courage and to be brave and protect the queen instead of, hiding under the bed and falling asleep.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
I know. So this is interesting, and I guess this is I don't know, I know Eternia is weird. They show space age technology. It's obviously it's a combination between the mystical and the technological, but I cannot place where Eternia would be in our timeline. If it would be the 1500s, the 1600s. I cannot place it, and furry loincloths don't help. But it's interesting to me that we see that in Queen Marlena's room there are 2 beds, but they specifically say it is her room. The king sleeps somewhere else.
There's one bed for when she's just sleeping by herself, and there's another bed for when the king joins her.
Yeah.
Do you have to
Why am I flashing
that way?
Why am I flashing to the Pauly Shore movie Son-in-Law when Lane Smith and his wife in that put the 2 beds together. Oh,
that's
God.
funny. That's the second Pauly Shore Son-in-Law reference I've heard this week, and that's beyond odd. What else do you have?
So Merman came up with Mini-Me before Dr. Evil. That's it.
Okay. All right. Well, I am anxious to see what moment you wrote down that didn't happen. So let's make our way to Snake Mountain.
Don't let me fall! You, what about me?
Battle to joy!
Good work, Merman. 2 down, 3 to go. Enter.
I have brought the queen.
I can see that. Welcome to my humble home, Queen Marlena.
I command you let me go, Skeletor. Now.
Oh, no, not yet. You're the bait for my trap.
He-Man will take care of you.
He-Man will take care of no one. I have a surprise for him. Behold! He-Man will never expect an attack from above. This time, Screech will bring him to me as my prisoner.
All right, we're at Snake Mountain. Mike, take it away.
You mean to tell me that Cringer is going to sleep through the whole episode? Come on! As soon as I wrote that down, I was ready to give this episode a 0, and then obviously he wakes up a little later, but as soon as he fell asleep, I'm like, it's an episode based on him, and he's going to sleep through the whole fucking thing. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, so in the last episode of the podcast, and right before you heard the opening theme to He-Man in this episode, I played the ad for the Dragon Walker toy. The Dragon Walker, while it looks cool, it is completely fucking impractical. It is slow as hell. Why the hell would you take the damn Dragon Walker over the Wind Raider or a Sky Sled or a Tack Track or just walking to Snake Mountain.
I don't know if I'd take anything over the attack track.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, they say, hey, we'll make great time in the Dragon Walker to get there in time, and yet the Dragon Walker is basically 1 step, 2 step, 3. It's the worst vehicle in this entire universe. It is the lamest vehicle in this entire universe. It is the vehicle that basically puts any junk cars to shame. You know, makes junk cars look good in comparison because this vehicle is so fucking stupid.
It looks kind of cool.
That's what I'm saying. It looks cool, but it's completely unfunctional.
I think it's somewhat funny because it's like, it looks cool and all this, and then you like see it go and you're like, really? That's kind of slow.
Yeah. Okay, so my last one is, hurry, they're getting away, says He-Man, as they are in the slowest vehicle on the planet. Hell, Attack Track is faster than the damn Dragon Walker. Oh, my God. Like, at least Attack Track is on treads. Sure, the treads kind of go up and over themselves instead of just a straight tank tread where it's, it rolls. But at least the Attack Track can advance its speed. The Dragon Walker looks like a 90-year-old man using a cane. And it looks like the guy going faster than Peter's car in Office Space with a cane, honestly. Oh, my God. Dragon Walker. I hope we never see that vehicle again. Ugh.
How do you really feel?
I just told you.
Did you hear the laugh that King Randor did at the beginning of the episode?
Yes. It was horrible.
I don't even know where that came from. That was like, apparently he's possessed. Because that was weird as shit. I don't really have much here. Like I said, there wasn't a whole lot good, but to me there wasn't a whole lot bad. It's just kind of a boring episode. And for me, I feel like it's a wasted spotlight of Cringer. I think it could have been so much better. But I'm not saying it's bad. I just, obviously don't have a ton of moments from Snake Mountain because there wasn't like a bunch of stuff that stuck out as like, oh, this was terrible or that's terrible. But just overall, just in general, it's not a great episode.
Absolutely not.
All right, let's see if we have any awards and how low our rankings go for this one.
All right, but save some food for me.
Hey, it's all gone.
Thanks to your magic tricks. Queen Marlena, are you awake? She's still asleep. I guess I better wait till she wakes up. I hope Adam doesn't eat everything.
It's lovely like a mist of sleepiness.
Oh, so sleepy.
I'm sleepy too. What's going on? I don't know.
What's wrong? Oh, dear. I'm getting sleepy, too.
What's that? Doesn't sound like Adam or Man-at-Arms. I think I'll wait under the bed. Is that fog or smoke?
It's hardware time for episode 87, Power Swords and Havoc Staffs. What do you got, sir?
Power Sword for Cringer, because he's always learning. His character is always, he's always going to be that Fraidy Cat, but at least he's willing to learn and grow, unlike some other characters we've seen in this series.
True.
So, what about you?
I really don't have anything. Like I said, this episode just really didn't affect me in one way or the other. So, nothing for nobody.
For me, I agree with you. Even though this is a really cool Cringer-centric episode, nothing exciting really happened. I'm going to give it a 2. 2 Orcos out of 5. I mean, I I usually save my 1s and 0s for stuff that I absolutely hate, and 2 for me is kind of like, it's there.
Yeah, if I give 2 or lower, it's a pretty bad episode. If I give 4 or higher, it's a pretty good episode.
4 or higher. We only go to 5.
Well, I do a 4 and a 4.5, 5.
Yeah.
1.5, 2.
Yeah.
If I give 2.5, 3, or 3.5, it's just kind of in that middle zone. And I'm giving this one a 2.5. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just there.
Could have been better.
Could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been worse. You had Cringer sleep the whole fucking thing.
All right. So, that's it for episode 87. We'll be right back with episode 88.
I said my patience grows thin.
Grows how?
Thin. Very thin.
Oh, no, boss. You aren't too thin. If anything, I'd say you look a little fat.
You tin-tongued dolt. I'm talking about my patience, not my body.
Yes, Skeletor.
Castle Grayskull is the source of ultimate power. Power which must be mine. I have tried to conquer it 6 times.
7.
No! 6, you flea-bitten fur-brain. The first one didn't count. It was only practice. I was teasing the poor fool.
I guess He-Man can't take a joke.
He-Man? I've been foiled by that muscle-bound moron one too many times. I will defeat He-Man.
You'd need an army to defeat He-Man.
An army? Yes. I need an army. But all I have is a robot fleet, machines to pilot my ships, and a couple of stupid assistants. I'm talking to you, you dim-witted duo. What is it that holds your attention more than the mighty Skeletor?
A joust. The Royal Guard is having a joust in the palace.
A joust? You ignore me to watch the Royal Guard play games? I should. The Royal Guard. Of course. The Royal Guard. I will capture the palace and make the Guard my slaves. And with their weapons and fighting skills at my disposal, not even He-Man will be able to stop me.
All right, it's time for The Rainbow Warrior, written by Bob Forward and Leslie Nelson. Air date Thursday, October 11th, 1984. Skeletor hatches a plan to capture the kingdom's leaders so the royal palace will be helpless to resist him, but he severely underestimates one Queen Marlena. Bad guys Beastman, Skeletor, and Trapjaw. Masters, the regulars. PSA, back at the museum, Teela thanks Marlena for teaching about flying. Marlena hopes Teela has learned that older people know some things that younger people don't. The Queen agrees to teach Teela to pilot the Rainbow Explorer in exchange for a lesson from Teela in operating a sky sled. Orko's fun facts. Following the footsteps of fellow storyboard artists Warren Greenwood and Robert Lamb, this was Bob Forward's first script. Bob Forward wanted to write this episode as he felt that Queen Marlena was the most underused character in the series.
He's right.
The animation sequence of Adam raising the Sword of Power is quite old and was due to be used way back in the Season 1 episode Evil Lynn's Plot, but they never used it. And this episode is famous as it appears that Queen Marlena knows that her son and He-Man are one and the same. I actually watched this episode twice, once with commentary track on and once without it. Commentary track was from 2 of the storyboard guys behind the series, both named Tom. I'm going to forget their last name at the moment. And a guy named Dave Teague, who is an animator. So if you're interested in any of the storyboard or animated commentary, I guess this would be a good one for you. They do talk a little bit about Bob Forward, which is kind of cool, getting the insight into how he was trying to get himself to be able to write an episode of this, and then this is kind of like the jumping off point where he goes on to be a lot more prolific writer in future days. So this is kind of what starts it all. But some interesting stuff in the commentary, but more so for people that are interested in like storyboard and the animator process, and what scenes are stock and what scenes aren't, and what they had to do for certain things, and rotoscoping and this, that, and the other. So And they do even point out a few of the flaws in stuff that they drew that wasn't supposed to make it to the final thing, like proportion-wise, that didn't get fixed or that got done wrong. So, I mean, there's some little tidbits. But what do you think about the idea of we've had a Cringer-centric plot, and now we get a Queen Marlena-centric plot?
They need to do more of these. Like, seriously.
It's interesting to get them back-to-back as well.
Oh, I like that. I think it's awesome. I think it's, this episode, I mean, I always remembered this episode because it was her origin and, it was, how she came to Eternia and, she led a life on Earth before this. So, because I'm sure throughout the entire season 1, everyone wanted to know, well, how the hell did he actually,
Right.
Because, let's face it, other than the royal family, who are all grown up except for Adam and Tila, there really aren't a whole hell of a lot of... I mean, we've seen kings and queens and princesses and stuff on Eternia, but it's like there doesn't seem to be anyone else in the House of Randor, right, in that family. And it was so nice finally figuring out that she was a crash landed pilot, and
right.
I love this story.
Before you got to the actual episode, before you started watching it, before you read anything on it, what was your initial reaction to that we were about to watch an episode called The Rainbow Warrior?
Like, is that Rainbow Dash's cousin or something?
I thought we were going to have a Rainbow Bright crossover.
Yeah.
No, it's hard to see that today without... I mean, rainbows have such a connotation nowadays. And so it's hard to see that title.
I was waiting for Lucky to show up with some cereal.
Yeah, I mean, we got all kinds of different things that you can think of with the rainbows. I thought we were going to get our first PSA about being tolerant of sexual preference. Just kidding.
Wait, what?
The rainbow.
Oh, jeez! Don't even. Oh my God.
I was a bit thrown off by the title of this one. But I guess that's what you name a ship. Name it the Rainbow Explorer, and then you get the Rainbow Warrior who's driving the Rainbow Explorer. There's rainbows everywhere in this episode. We are all very manly men, so we're going to talk about this episode and avoid that comment that I just made.
I can't believe you just said that.
What did you think about the whole idea of one of the themes in the story, and one of the themes, obviously, of the PSA about the respecting the knowledge of your elders?
I mean, yeah, you kind of have to. I mean,
just another example of Tila being a douche.
Well, yeah, I mean that's obvious. I mean, but we are 88 episodes into this 130 episode series. In the last 87 episodes, there has maybe been 1 or 2 times Tila has not been a douche. I mean, she just is.
Pretty much.
But no, I mean, the PSA in general, I mean, I always love it when it's not He-Man or Orko or Man-at-Arms doing the PSA. I like that they bring in the Queen, so that was cool.
I agree. I like the idea of telling the backstory between the royal family. It's kind of 2 characters, and the king and the queen, that we don't get to see a lot of, especially the queen. So I like the idea of delving into that a little bit more. And like you said, I also remember, this is one of the episodes that stuck with me from my childhood. A lot of these episodes I'm seeing, and I don't remember, nothing like connects with me. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll know little bits and pieces, or I'll know the characters, but as far as like an actual plot, there's only been a few that I've remembered and been like, oh, I remember seeing that, and this is one of them. I totally remember this whole story from when I was a kid.
Absolutely. I do want to step out of the cartoon just for a moment to talk a bit about...
Breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, breaking the fourth wall. I'm pulling a Ferris Bueller, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk a little bit about the DC Comics Masters of the Universe that's going on right now. DC started their stuff in 2012. It was a 6-issue miniseries where Skeletor put a spell on everybody, and Adam didn't know who he was, didn't know about Castle Grayskull, any of this and everything else. So we have Adam and all the other Masters and Randor and everybody else on Eternia. No idea where Marlena is. Okay, as the series it actually went from a miniseries to a full-time. It's actually going to end this year in December, but because it's going to turn into something else. Started earlier last year. We are 16 issues into it. We still don't know where Marlena is. We assume that she's dead. The story starts off with the sorceress dying. But they did the DC Universe, Masters of the Universe crossover, where some of the Masters, like Man-at-Arms and Tila and everybody else, went to Earth. And come to find out, that's where... Because Skeletor isn't anywhere in this story. Remember that Origins book I had you read?
Right.
That kind of lifts off from this and everything else. So when the main series starts, we don't know, the Horde and... the Horde has taken over Eternia. We don't know where Skeletor is. Come to find out, Skeletor is on Earth, along with Marlena is on Earth working with the DC heroes. So I think it's great to talk about that here with this episode, showing the origin of her being on Earth. And then, in another medium, in comics, they actually took her and had her, put her back on Earth. So I absolutely love that about that. As far as this episode goes, this is again going to be... I honestly think when we finish in episode 45, when I don't know what you have planned for lists or whatever else, but when it comes to best episodes of the series, we're going to have to do like a top 50 or something, because Jesus Christ, this could easily be the top, at least the top 10, one of the top 10 best episodes of this series.
Yeah, I think you'll be surprised when we get down and rank them that we're definitely not going to have 50 that we're ranking as great.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean, though? I'm saying, like, there's so many times that we're 30 episodes into the show at this point, into the podcast, and there's so many times that I remember saying, "Oh, this could be the best episode. This could be," So I know I've said that at least 20 or 30 times.
You'd be surprised.
Possibly.
There's been 5 episodes that we've been in mutual agreement as to how good they are. So we'll see how many other ones, one of us or two of us, or how high we ranked them. Let's make our way to Castle Grayskull and see just how well we did or did not like this episode.
Those stun beams sting a bit.
Got you. That's 10 more points for me.
That Tila sure is a stunner. Tila, very good. You must be proud.
Tila's the best pilot in the fleet.
Yes, Tila's doing well.
Oh, dear. It looks like Tila's in trouble.
Tila is a skillful pilot, but she still has much to learn.
Does it bring back memories, my dear?
You know me well, my king.
Here comes Tila. You were great, Tila.
If that's supposed to be funny, it isn't. I lost.
She didn't mean that, Adam. You did well, my daughter. Don't spoil the performance by being a bad loser.
If I did so well, why did I lose?
You grew careless and forgot to be observant.
But he was above me. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't aim at him up there. Excuse me. On Earth, we had a maneuver called the Immelman turn. I could show it to you if you'd like. Sure, sometime maybe. Look, Father, if a ship is above me, there is absolutely no way I can reach it. The Sky Sled doesn't have top guns.
All right, we're at Castle Grayskull. We might be here for a minute. We're talking about some highlights from the Rainbow Warrior. I didn't realize this was a good episode when I read the title. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did.
Never judge an episode on its title.
I wasn't expecting to remember it. But yeah, obviously number 1 backstory for Queen Marlena, so that's one check in the good column. The connections to Earth. We don't necessarily have a lot of that outside of the Marlena storyline. So it's good to see, that... Well,
besides that whole Christmas crap.
Right, but it's good to see that Earth exists and that there's a connection there between Eternia and Earth in a way. There's also... I guess we'll get into... I don't know why I have this written so far up here, but... the hint that the Queen is actually more intelligent than most characters in the show. All right, so we get the idea. That's one thing that we're always kind of Like, come on, nobody in the series realizes anything. Like, nobody knows. Nobody can put two and two together that he's always gone when he's there.
But of course, a mother knows her son.
So the fact that the Queen is smarter than most and knows that He-Man is probably Prince Adam, I think that was a very cool thing to do. I think it makes it more believable for kids, and I think it just shows, again, that she's got more to her. It builds the complexity of her character.
Absolutely.
Instead of just being, oh, I'm the queen off in the corner, I don't know shit. Skeletor is hilarious in this episode.
He is.
For as much as this episode, probably people will talk about Marlena, people will talk about the origin story, people will talk about that and that and that, I could easily see it getting left out that this is one of Skeletor's best episodes. I love the quote, "I've tried to capture Castle Grayskull 6 times." And then Commander Trapjaw is like, it was 7 times. And he's like, no, the first time didn't count. And I think he's tried to capture it a lot more than that. But 6 times is the only, out of all this time, he's only tried to capture Grayskull 6 times. But that he was saying that the first one didn't count was funny. He was saying that his patience was growing thin, and of course Trapjaw was being moronic and was thinking that he was saying he was thin. And he's like, no, Skeletor, you're fat. He's like, I'm talking about my patience, not on my body. So I thought that was funny. At one point, Skeletor is so frustrated with the Evil Warriors that he just falls down. He's sitting at this little table and throne, and he's like putting his head on his hands like he's frustrated, and then he just falls off the chair.
Yep.
Thought that was hilarious. And then at one point he's tapping on Trapjaw's metal head, like with his fingernail. He's like tap tap tap, and he calls him a metal munching moron. Oh, the animation on him was funny. Just the way they made him slouch and be frustrated. So I mean, Skeletor, if you like Skeletor, and it's something that they also talked about during the commentary, that the first season, especially early on, the writers very much had Skeletor as more of a menacing, evil, serious type creature and character. And it's like, as the episodes have gone on, especially a theme through season 2, is that they start showing his frustration level a lot more. And not just his frustration level without being able to accomplish his goal, but more of his frustration level with his evil warriors. And I think it adds a whole great level of humor to the episodes that they do that to. Actual storytelling in this one. There's actual like writing and storytelling. It's not just like, seems like everything was actually done carefully and planned out, and that there's not just scenes that are wasted or plot lines that don't go anywhere. Like, everything connects together. So that's good. And talk about action. If you're a fan of the action part of this series, well, you have like the whole last 10 minutes is action. They were talking about that too in the commentary. Like, that last sequence, that last action scene is actually like a whole third of the episode, like where they do that. And Skeletor, Jetpack Skeletor, when he all of a sudden busted out the wings and like flew away, I thought that was pretty cool. And then He-Man, kind of going full circle, that the Queen somewhat knew who He-Man was. He-Man, before he changed back to Prince Adam, when Marlena reveals herself to be the pilot, and everyone's like, Marlena, Queen, blah blah blah, and He-Man's like, he almost said mother. So I thought that was a cool moment as well. And there's just a lot of cool things done by Bob Forward in this one. What about you? What did you like?
Obviously, yay, more Marlena. She took the fight to Skeletor.
1, 2, 3 Marlenas. Sorry.
She took the fight to Skeletor. Now, this is the Queen Marlena I want to see more of, because she wasn't just going to sit around and wait for Skeletor to attack them. I mean, if you think about it, the Eternians, for the most part, they are, I don't want to say they're pacifists, but they're not going to go looking for a fight 9 times out of 10.
Right. They're not trying to conquer anything.
True. They don't have to. They already rule everything. The conquering days were years and years and years ago. I don't know what it was about Randor, but every time because he knows what his wife is capable of, but every time he said, any positive thing about Marlena, for some strange reason I teared up because I saw his emotion in his eyes when he was talking about her. You mentioned Beastman and his, talking about Skeletor's patience. All I can think of is, imagine, even though Mr. Hoskins is no longer with us, imagine a live-action Bob Hoskins as Skeletor and Roger Rabbit as Beastman, and, prostate? My Uncle Thumper had to take these big pills. That's prostate, you idiot. I'm talking about... So reminded me of that scene in Roger Rabbit. Like I said, I love seeing... Now, dear George Lucas in Attack of the Clones, this is how you do a love story. You show them for 5 seconds or less, frolicking in a field, and, bing, bam, boom, there you go. He's got his queen. I just absolutely love this one. As nothing wrong. I only have one Snake Mountain moment for this. It has nothing to do with the episode. It has to do with the fact that Hulu, as much as we all love Hulu, Hulu.com, when I was watching this episode on there, they put an ad mid-transformation. Are you serious? You put an ad mid-transformation, you jerks.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is. But overall, I mean, the Rainbow Warrior, Marlena as a fighter, again, as I said, I wish we had more episodes like this. And as far as, like you kind of already said, of course she's going to know her son. And I do agree with you. I do think it's hilarious that He-Man almost said mother. That was just funny.
All right, well, since you already revealed your Snake Mountain moment, and I don't have any, we can skip past Snake Mountain, and we'll be right back with our awards and rankings.
Ah, here you are. I thought I should find you here, my dear. Man-at-Arms did a nice job of rebuilding your ship, didn't he?
Yes, and I'm glad. This ship means so much to me.
It means a great deal to me, too. After all, this was the ship that brought you to me. By the grace of Eternia, what is that? Are you all right? What happened?
Meteor strike. Hit the engines. Fuel lines blew. Couldn't hold it. Oh, who are you? And where on earth am I?
I know not of Earth. I am Randor, King of Eternia.
Eternia?
You need rest. Return with me to my palace. You shall be my guest while you recover.
But...
I think you will find it comfortable and pleasant. In a few days you will be well and can return to your Earth.
A few days, you said. But I fell in love with you, and with this planet. And I just couldn't bring myself to leave. Yet there are moments when this royal life can seem too calm, at least compared to my days as a space pilot.
Yes, Skeletor has not been causing much trouble of late, and I, for one, have been glad for the chance to relax. Speaking of relaxation, we'll be going to the beach for a picnic after the joust. Will you join us, my dear?
No, not now. Though I'm sure it will be lovely. I'd just like to spend a few more moments with the Rainbow Explorer.
Of course, my dear. I quite understand. I shall see you upon our return.
All right, it's time for the hardware section of episode 88. I will let you go first. Who gets power swords? Who gets havoc staffs?
King and Queen get a power sword.
King and Queen get a power sword. It is in the books.
Because you got to look at it this way. Her ship was crashing. He was the only one around. He technically did save her. He did save the ship and had it restored for her because it is something from her past that means a lot to her. It shows the relationship between the two of them, which very rarely do cartoons ever show that kind of stuff, especially 80s cartoons.
Right.
We actually get more, I don't want to say we get more character development for the two of them here than in any other of the 129 episodes.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I will switch it slightly for my hardware, and that will be a power sword to Queen Marlena and Skeletor. Not King Randor, but I can totally see why you would do that. And I also do have a Havoc staff for this episode.
Uh-oh.
And
He-Man?
No, and that would be for none other than the disrespectful Teela.
Yeah, that's true.
Because she couldn't even fathom the fact that Queen Marlena could have anything good to say or to teach her. You little bitch, that's a queen. She's a queen for a damn reason. If you've ever seen any shows about kings and queens, you don't just become a queen, la-di-da. Like, people want that position. You have to be able to be a survivor. And you got to be smart. So shut your bitch mouth, Teela.
I will also give Teela a Havoc staff. Now that you mentioned the whole queen thing, all I can think of is putting Teela in Alice in Wonderland and the queen saying, "Off with your head."
I want to put Teela in Game of Thrones and watch her die. Because everybody on that show dies. I've only seen the first season, but that's because everybody died that I like, so I'm no longer watching it.
Well, gee, then I guess you won't be on the remote control episode for that show.
People are trying to talk me into giving it another chance, but basically the only character I cared about died in season 1, so I'm just like, fuck that show. All right. As far as ratings go,
if anyone doesn't give this more than a 5 or at least a 5,
can't give it more than a 5.
Ahead. Could.
So you're giving it a 5 Orcos?
Yeah,
and I will match your 5 Orcos with 5 Battle Cats, and we will just crown this one as a double 5. I think it's like the 6th one of the series so far. So, good episode, albeit sneakily done through the title of the Rainbow Warrior. All right, we'll take a break and we'll be right back with the last episode for today, episode 89.
A double 5. Take it away, Billy Bob.
I give it a 10. A 10. A fucking 10.
Gentlemen. Let me demonstrate. First, I'll put on this blindfold. If you'd each walk around the room. Even with this blindfold on, this disc can tell me exactly where you are.
Can you tell where I am now, Man-at-Arms?
Seems to be a problem here. Just a minute, please. Something's wrong. The machine says there are 7 people in this room.
Well, machines never lie.
What? Oh, you had me fooled for a moment.
It's the view screen.
Good morning, Randor.
Boreas, how nice to see you.
We've just perfected a new kind of energy crystal, 10 times more powerful than any other crystals on Eternia.
Congratulations.
I'd like your kingdom to be the first to use them.
We'd be glad to. Thank you, Boreas.
You can send someone up right away.
Who was that?
That Orco was my good friend Boreas. He rules an ice kingdom called Morainia. Now, who should I send for the crystals?
Well, I'll be glad to go.
Adam would be a good choice for this assignment.
You will be careful, won't you, Adam?
Oh, don't worry, Mother. You know, my winter fur hasn't grown in yet. Maybe I better just stay here.
You're going to, Cringer. You need the exercise.
I'll go with you. Maybe I'll have a chance to exercise my magic.
It's the last episode of today. It's episode 89. It's a trip to Morainia. Writer Steve Bussard.
Oh, I thought that said Buscemi.
Steve Bussard. Air date, Friday, October 12th. That's how we ended our week that week in 1984. Prince Adam travels to Morainia to examine a new power source, but when Skeletor menaces the Ice Kingdom, He-Man will need the help of its princess to stop the villain. Bad guys, Beastman, Clawful, Skeletor, and Trapjaw. And the regular masters, the PSA, Teela explains how Esker learned that he should give other people's ideas a chance, a lesson she apparently just learned the episode before. Orko's fun facts. The episode originally started with Teela training Prince Adam in martial arts at Castle Grayskull. In the script, the giant spider that confronts the heroes is referred to as Gorgonzola, like the cheese, I guess. In the script, Adam, Cringer, and Orko enjoy some skiing on Morainia. When Orko is making the snow sculpture of Cringer, watch Cringer's expressions when Orko throws a large amount of snow on the sculpture's nose. And for some reason, after his defeat, Clawful vanishes from the remainder of the episode. What were your thoughts on a trip to Morainia and the story behind it?
Compared to the Rainbow Warrior, this is boring as hell.
Interesting. That is literally what I have written down at one point.
I mean, seriously, this episode, like, is it too much to ask for consistent awesomeness from this show? Like,
look at it in little doses.
Oh, God. Make another reference here. In small doses, through future mutants.
Small bits and pieces.
No, this one's just... It's not... It can't compare to the last episode, and I mean, you had a lot to fill in. I mean, you could have done not necessarily a follow up to the last episode, but done a story as good as the last episode was. This one is just stupid.
Just stupid, he says.
It's just fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's one of those that I don't know. Maybe would have served better purpose in season 1 when we're just seeing these characters, but it didn't really add anything to any of these characters. Like, it didn't develop anything. It just didn't do anything. Like, at this point in season 2, episode 89, this episode serves no purpose.
Absolutely not.
So, I mean, it doesn't introduce us to anything new. It doesn't develop anything we've already seen. It's just a random, we're going to take a trip to this other place and deal with some more fucking kids. And,
oh, wait until episode 31.
So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the purpose of this episode is or what the writer was trying to accomplish in this. If he was just, like, randomly just trying to pump content in here, or did he actually have an idea of what was his idea for this episode? I'm pretty sure it's the only episode he's written. You would think, we have Bob Forward. He's like, oh, this is my first episode. I'm actually going to take some time and be like, oh, I want to develop this character because it's blah, 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 blah. And then we got this guy who gets to write his first episode and apparently likes snow and ice. So he builds it around that, and it doesn't give us anything.
Even the episode of G1, where it starts off with Spike and the Autobots having a snowball fight at the beginning of it. I mean, even that eventually turned into an actual episode of content, more so than this. I found Steve Broussard on IMDb. Wow, he looks old as hell. Old and gray, actually. The only thing he wrote for, yes, this was the only episode that he wrote for He-Man and Masters of the Universe. The rest of his episodes are from Dennis the Menace. From 1986. He wrote 65 episodes of Dennis the Menace. So, Dennis the Menace and He-Man Masters of the Universe, 2 completely different shows. Dennis the Menace is more comical, so maybe he's better at writing comedy than he is at writing...
Maybe he wrote this one and realized this isn't his thing.
Apparently not. Maybe it's like, oh, well, I guess The Rock is going to come back to the WWE because he needs a paycheck now.
Right, something.
All
right, well, let's see if we have anything good to say about this episode as we make our way for the last time today to Castle Grayskull.
You can come out now, Cringer. We can't fall any further. No, Cringer. First we have to find out where we are, then we have to pick up the energy crystals.
I knew you were going to say that.
Castle Grayskull, here we are. Not going to be there very long.
3 things.
I got one,
That's
so
it.
let me get it out of the way.
Yeah.
As we took our trip to Morainia, I don't know what his name was, Morainia, Moritis,
Whatever the hell.
whatever, the leader, he was cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't mind him.
You should have 2 moments there, because yay, Attack Track, best vehicle for ground missions.
No, I just didn't mind the guy. He looked cool. That's all I had. What do you got?
Like I said, Attack Track. Skeletor gets the upper hand. Reverse magic always works, right?
Yes.
I do enjoy the teamwork and the fact that He-Man is actually valuing the opinions of Janice versus what her brother is doing.
Her brother with a really weird voice.
Yeah. So.
Did you notice in that last episode the Queen seemed like she had a different voice too? At times.
Did I write that down? No, that is gonna. Well, I noticed it. It's gonna be coming up next time when we talk.
I gotcha.
Let me see.
I just noticed in one of the episodes I watched recently that her voice seemed like it changed, but
no, it's in the first. It's in episode 90.
No, get to that next time then.
So I know. I'm just
My
saying.
bad,
That's
folks. Jumping the gun here. Sometimes I watch episodes in advance.
Sure.
What else do you have?
That's it for Grayskull.
All right, not a lot of good things to say about a trip to Morainia. I don't think we'll be taking that trip. Not a vacation destination, but I guess our next destination would be Snake Mountain.
That's a better vacation destination compared to Morainia.
True.
Or Morainia, if you really want to call it what it means.
Come on, let's get out of here. That ought to keep him busy for a while.
Oh, wonder why he was so angry. We didn't do anything.
Well, we were trespassing on his home territory.
Yeah, well, maybe he'll cool down by the time he gets out of there.
Now we can follow those snowmobile tracks to Morainia. Let's go.
Dun dun dun! Snake Mountain, not Morainia. I guess this could be a Castle Grayskull moment, but I have it in Snake Mountain moment because I'm not sure if I like it or not. But the evil warriors in the costumes, did they think they were fooling anybody with that? And then what you kind of said in the opening, same thing that we had to say about episode 87. This episode's pretty boring. Mm-hmm. There's really not much going on, especially after we just had a good episode like the Rainbow Warrior. There's just not much action. There's not much interesting plot details to get involved with. There's no character development. There's nothing new. It's just an episode and not a necessarily good one.
Yeah, no. I think I'm going to have to get my He-Man DVDs out of the box that they're in because they put another ad in mid-transformation on them. Like, okay, I understand.
Well, the interesting thing about these ones coming up, I don't know how it worked out that way, but people before I know that were watching this series along with us were frustrated because they didn't want to have to like pull this disc out for this episode and then put it away and pull this disc out for that episode, blah blah blah. I know coming up, I don't remember if it was for these episodes are on 2 different discs, but on our next podcast, which covers episode 90, 91, and 92, they're literally all on the same disc, one right after the other.
That's good. Now, I understand Hulu is free for the most part unless you decide to pay for Hulu Plus. And don't get me wrong, I understand that it's free because they put ads on there. But I'm sorry, these people need to learn how to use their ad placement for cliffhangers, like, of the episode. Not just, hey, He-Man's about to pull his sword, let's just put an ad right here.
Yeah, I'm sure they have it just timed, so at a certain time in the episode it just happens no matter what's going on.
Yeah. Oh, Christ, her brother is annoying as hell. Oh, God, I want to kill this kid, Esker. And it's a complete crock on the writing. The brother learned nothing. No lesson, no, as you already said, no real character growth. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just...
He learned to listen to his sister.
I bet as soon as they get home, he won't be listening to her. He'll still be making fun of her, little jackass.
That's all you have?
That's it.
All right, let's get to the hardware for the last time this week.
This little one has enough power to light your castle for a whole year.
Oh, maybe even 2.
How would you know?
Your sister seems to know about a lot of things, Esker.
Yes, for a girl.
Your snow track will be fixed tomorrow, Adam. Why don't you go out and try our skiing?
Can I go?
You should stay here. You might get hurt.
I can take care of myself, Esker.
What about your broken arm last year?
That was an accident. I was trying out some new skis.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
Power Sword Havoc Staffs, episode 89, a trip to Morainia. And did we bring any Power Swords or Havoc Staffs with us? Mike?
That kid.
Esker?
That fucking kid. Oh my god. Like, if you put all of the horrible kids in this series and somehow clone them into one, it would be the worst person in Eternian history.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That... yeah, he gets a Havoc Staff upside the head.
I agree. 100% Havoc Staff to that douchebag.
And then the rest of it, like you normally say, there wasn't anything that really, I mean, there wasn't, I guess I could give a Power Sword to the attack track for showing up. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there really is not, compared to the Rainbow Warrior, there's nothing here.
Yeah, there isn't. And as far as ratings go, obviously we said a lot of the same commentary for Fraidy Cat and A Trip to Morainia, that they're both somewhat boring episodes, that they both...
Fraidy Cat's better.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I was going to say Fraidy Cat is slightly better, so I'm going to drop... I had Fraidy Cat at 2.5. I'll drop this one to 1.5. And what do you have for this one?
I gave Fraidy Cat a 2. I'm going to give this one a 1.
All right.
Because this one didn't... this episode, while it's just boring and just there, it didn't enrage me like a couple of the episodes will next time. But yeah, for now, just a 1 for Morainia. And if Morainia was a destination on Yelp, it would be getting the worst reviews ever.
Yeah. So not a great episode.
Nope.
Here. So. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with our closing thoughts.
But battlecraft.
Can we beat them?
I don't know. Our men are willing to fight, but without Captain Tila, our man-at-arms, to lead them...
Go on. I must know all the details.
The palace will take heavy damages. Shall we prepare for defense?
No. When Skeletor arrives, he will be prepared for a fight. And I do not like the idea of my home becoming a battleground. Get every man aloft. In every ship we have. Skeletor will not be expecting an attack. We will take him by surprise. Quickly!
Now for a behind-the-scenes look at Geekcast Radio Network's newest show, Talking in Circles.
So, Chuck, Greg, what are you guys thinking for this week's show?
Well, Dan, how about we just talk about the things that we've read or watched this week?
We do reviews like that every week, Chuck. How about a game like Fact or Fiction or The Power of Names?
Those are great, and we're always coming up with new ideas for games. And how about some top 5s? You know how I love my top 5s.
What about tournament-style brackets, or sequel, reboot, and destroy? Who will win in a fight? Taking too far? Crazy but true news? Or...
Yes, it appears we have lots of things to work on.
Listen to Talking in Circles, taking timeless topics in new directions. Every Tuesday on iTunes or GeekCastRadio.com, the Geekcast Radio Network.
Hey, Dan, who's the guy with the creepy voice?
All right, we saw episode 87, 88, and 89. We're somewhat getting close to approaching the halfway point of Season 2, so we're getting... kind of doing our episodes that's closing out that first half of Season 2. We kind of had 2 boring episodes wrapped up by a good very good episode in the middle. We had our Cringer-centric episode. We had a Marlena-centric episode, and that's, again, one thing that we've always asked for is more centered episodes on individual characters to get some character development and to learn some stuff about the character. So we kind of got a little of that. Didn't really get any new characters, so to speak, outside of Screech, I guess. If it wasn't for a Rainbow Warrior this week, it would be a very bad week. What are your thoughts as we near the halfway point?
It's going to be a very bad week next week. As we near the halfway point, they need to be better. They just need to be better. I mean, and I know they probably won't be. I mean, you know, I said to you off air, we finished episode 89 today. That means we have 41 cartoons left in this series. If the next 41 cartoons, there isn't at least 10 good ones out of that, there's something wrong with this series.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I honestly have no idea what my overall final rating for this entire series is going to be. Because at this point, if it was to stop right now and this was the final episode, this series might only get a 2. I honestly don't know.
You won't have to think too much because I will have it for you.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, you know, like if I was just rating the series overall myself, and it ended on this episode, you know, this last episode, this boring episode, it's like, really? But yeah, I mean, Rainbow Warrior is easily the gem of this week. We need more episodes like that. I don't know why, like. That's the other thing. I don't know if we've really talked about this too much, but the king and queen don't seem like they're in charge of the kingdom. I mean, yes, they are. Obviously, they're the king and the queen, but it's like, I know the focus is Adam and He-Man and Skeletor and all this and all that, but it's like, bring the king and queen in more. I mean, you know, play up the fact that, you know, Randor was a warrior at one point. I mean, it just, oh, God.
How do you really feel?
It needs to get better, damn it.
I agree with that.
Yes. Anything else you want to say?
No.
All right, so thank you for joining us here on Tales of Eternia. There are several ways to get in contact with us. Those are by visiting the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on all of our episode posts and other blogs and everything else. Send email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. Leave the show's feedback in iTunes. Please do this. We only still have 4 iTunes review for this podcast. Follow us on Twitter @GeekCastRadio is the network Twitter. Mine is TFG1Mike. What is your Twitter?
OptimusSolo.
You forgot there, didn't you?
I was going to say OptimusSolo. That won't work. OptimusSolo.
Yeah. Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Geekcast or Radio Network. Call the voicemail line. Tell us the show you're leaving a message for and your name. They're 502-526-5821. There's a 5-minute time limit. We hope you enjoyed the tales today, and don't forget to join us in our next adventure when we will continue Season 2, discussing episodes 90, 91, and 92, Things That Go Bump in the Night. That's the 25th episode of Season 2. Ugh. 3 on a dare, and just a little lie. For now, I am TFG1Mike with...
the one and only OptimusSolo.
The power of Grayskull. You all have the power.